Hey everybody, welcome. It is Matt Connarton Unleashed, the AF version of the show. This one is strictly online, where we can say anything we want to about anything we want to. Welcome everybody. I am Matt Connarton, and of course, Jen is with me as well, or Jen Coffee, or Jenny, however you want to call her, however you want to be called.
I am present and accounted for. You can call me Jen or Jenny or hey you, whatever works.
On this Sunday afternoon, it is Sunday, August 24, 2025. We are streaming the show live. Of course, this will be in the podcast feed immediately afterward, but we'll see if anyone wants to chime in, if anyone wants to pop in live with us in the chat room. If you do post something, I will try to read your comment on air if you do join us during the live stream. But yeah, we were going to do Tough Bumps with Eric Pilcher, but Eric's got a little bit of a situation he's dealing with, so I'm sure later in the week. And I do have something, though, to mention. And Jenny, I don't think I even told you this yet. Tomorrow, after 5 p.m., it might be right at 5, I'm not sure. Someone from the band Vices Inc. Is going to get on a stream with me, and we're going to talk about Vices Fest. We talked about it yesterday.
Nice.
On the radio show.
No, you did not tell me.
Yeah, they're gonna get on with me tomorrow to talk about it. It's obviously too late to get them in on the radio show that we do on Saturdays from WMNH. But I said, let's do a stream, talk about it. They did very graciously invite us to join them, but it's it's like I said, it's really hard for us to get away. It's the festival. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm on the air Friday night, Saturday morning. We have the radio show, and then there's always a lot going on. Our weekends are very, very busy. So, but I did suggest, I said, if you want to hop on a podcast with me, we can do the podcast version of the show and talk about everything. Talk about, the festival, Vices Inc. They've got, if you go to vicesfest.com, they've got the full lineup there, and they've got a lot of great bands. A lot of the bands that are on the list, that are on the schedule for Vices Inc. this year, for Vices Fest, to be specific, is a lot of them are bands that we've had on the show recently, or a couple of them a while ago, but a lot of them have been within the last year. So a lot of amazing talent. And there's also a few bands in there who we have not had on the show yet, but I'm sure that we will in the future because they're names that we've definitely heard about. So that will be Monday, I believe Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern. We're going to jump on a live stream with Vices Inc. And then, of course, that'll be up and available in the podcast. And I know they want to give away some tickets too.
Excellent.
So, yeah. So we'll figure all that out. We'll see how we can do that. We'll figure that out. But anyway, and by the way, if you missed this weekend's radio show, of course, Matt Connarton Unleashed is live every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 12 noon from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM. You can listen locally right here in Manchester, where we are, on 95.3 FM. Or, of course, you can stream the show from anywhere if you go to mattconnerton.com/live. And, of course, this version of the show is strictly the podcast only one. So this version of the show has no direct affiliation with WMNH. We do this one all on our own, which is why we're able to be completely uncensored, because it is strictly online and we can talk about anything we want to.
We can say anything we want to.
We can say anything we want to.
Like bullshit, my favorite word.
We can use that word here, yes. We cannot use that on the radio version of the show.
I like that word.
Yes.
It ends up in a lot of my speeches.
Yes. Oh, we should mention too, before we get to the main subject that we were going to discuss, you got to, speaking of speeches, and that's what reminded me, you gave a speech recently.
I did. Oh, yes, I did.
Yes.
Yes, I was happy to be at Karishma Mansour's announcement Wednesday evening when she announced that she was officially running for Congress. For Senate, federal Senate. She is running for the seat being vacated by Jean Shaheen, who is retiring. Mm-hmm. There will be a primary in this, obviously. I like her for a number of reasons. First and foremost, she's a scientist who has spent her life working on medical research to try and find cures to some of the worst diseases in the world. So she's a science-minded individual who has a doctorate degree, who has spent her life in service to others trying to save their lives. And I need somebody like that in office because I'm overwhelmed with people in office who could care less about human lives. If you can't make them money and you can't serve them, you have no purpose. And I need those people out. And I need people who have empathy and compassion and give a shit about the working American, the working class American who's busting their ass and barely being able to scrape by right now. And I feel confident that somebody who has spent their life doing that is going to look at legislation through that lens. And I don't want a lawyer. I don't want a career politician, bullshit artist. I need somebody in that seat who is going to vote for the people first. And that's why I decided to support and endorse Charisma as a former New Hampshire state representative myself, more importantly, as a New Hampshire citizen. These next elections are going to be vital for so many reasons, and healthcare being predominantly one of the most important things, because without your health, you have nothing else. I had a wonderful career. I owned a house. I had over 5 acres of land. I never made a mortgage payment late. You know, I was that person. I made every car payment on time. I paid every bill on time. But when I got my second round of cancer, it did me in and I lost everything. So if you think this can't happen to you, it certainly can. And I worked multiple jobs, and all of my jobs were in medicine for my entire adult life, basically. I mean, I started out in medicine. I think I want to say I was 22, maybe, give or take. And that's what I did my entire life. So I wasn't somebody who was screwing around. I didn't drink hardly ever because I was always working. Like, you can't work in medicine and function and do anything like that. So I never drank. I wasn't a partier. When I was home, I was mostly sleeping. I did nights for 17 years. I pulled 24-hour shifts. So this shit happens, and it happens to the best of us. You know, I watched The Man in Washington, D.C. I know where we're diverting a little bit, but when I went to Washington, D.C., during a period of time when actually a Trump appointee was in charge of overseeing all of America's, how basically kind of how America's finances work in conjunction with consumers and making sure that consumer rights are protected. And they were creating a law that was to say that medical debt could not be put on your credit report at the federal level. Create this law, cannot be put on your credit report because it is devastating. And when I went to see this get announced, they had people who were sharing stories. And the one that really struck me the most was a gentleman who was probably, he must have been in his 70s, worked his whole life, had a house, had 850 credit, paid everything on time his entire life. And he got sick and ended up with these enormous medical bills. Now, this guy had 14 medical bills, and he had arranged and was making payments on every freaking one of them and trying like hell to make payments on every single bill. He wasn't ignoring it. He was trying, he was working, he was trying really hard. And then the car that they were using, so wait a minute. So he ends up not being able to balance the 14 bills with everything else. And it goes on his credit report and fucks his credit up. So he's driving back and forth for it takes like an hour away to go for his cancer treatments. And the car they're using to get to those treatments, all the miles, all the driving, it caught up and the car was dying and they needed a new car. And this man who had 850 credit now had shit. And he couldn't qualify for a car loan for even a used car to replace the car that he needed to get to treatment to stay alive. Is that right? He did everything the way that America tells him to. Paid in his entire life, paid his house off, did everything right. But he got sick. And it ruined his life. It stole everything from this family. And just to put a button on that, just recently that's been rescinded. It's from It's not happening. Medical debt can continue to go on your credit report. The Trump regime has reversed that.
Of course.
Because even though it was a Trump appointee, because it was decided under the Biden administration,
of course,
no good. Anything that happened under Biden is just no good. So,
well, and it's an opportunity to hurt people. So, and and MAGA loves hurting people.
And it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand why you want to ruin people's lives like
because they can, because they get off on it. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just call it what it is. A lot of people like to, well, you have to be respectful and have dialogue and everything, but we also need to call shit what it is. There's a cruelty built into MAGA. But there's also in a broader sense, I've always felt this way. There is a cruelty built into conservatism. Conservatism as an ideology has a certain cruelty to it. They don't see it that way. Conservatives don't see it that way until something happens to them. That's the only way they're able to see it. But what's that?
You made your bed, you lie in it. That's
right.
The philosophy of today.
Right. Because that's what a conservative would say, or a conservative would say to the sick person who is now who is so buried in medical debt and now can't qualify for a car loan. Well, you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. That's what a conservative would say.
Why don't you just take a mortgage out? Take a second mortgage out. Take a mortgage out.
Yeah,
because we got to make sure that hospital CEO who's getting a $5 million a year salary, never mind his bonuses and benefits, packages and everything. And trust me, he doesn't worry about copays.
Nope.
He's got to get his due.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's another argument for single payer. If we had single payer in this country where, everything was just covered automatically. And by the way, I'm not talking about because, the response of people who oppose that will say, oh, well, I don't want a government takeover of healthcare. No, neither do I. I don't want the government to take over healthcare. I just want
socialized medicine. That's different.
Right. That's different. I just want single payer and just get rid of the insurance companies. And then people will say, well, I don't want my money to pay for somebody else's healthcare. Well, that's what insurance is.
That's how it works.
That's how insurance works.
How insurance works.
So you're already doing that. You and everybody else in the pool is already paying for everybody else who's in the pool with
100%. That's how it works.
Yeah. So if you had single payer, if you had single payer, all this other shit would go away. Medical debt ruining people's lives. Your employer, because people say, well, how would we pay for that if the government pays for it? Well, that's easy. Now your employer doesn't have to pay for it anymore. So now your employer, if you had single payer and your employer didn't have to deduct money from your paycheck every week to pay for your health insurance, that's how you pay for it. It's not like I'm not even good at math and I can figure this out. Like, it's actually really easy. The money's already being spent. Just let's spend it in a way that doesn't fuck people.
And spend it more. And you talk about and Republicans claim to be fiscally conservative, but they're not, because they don't want to fix the problem.
They're dishonest about that. To
currently, in order to meet those salaries and what have you, everybody has these ginormous insurance departments and billing departments that have to do all of these different forms and then they have to do appeals. And if things get denied, and it goes this whole back and forth, and you get a prior authorization, back and forth. All these bullshit jobs that don't need to exist. Right? So that's money you don't need to spend. I've witnessed it personally in my face, up close and personal. I went to the Netherlands. I saw a society that has national health care. Everybody pays a flat rate every month, and it's like $100 and something. It's not even like what we pay. My mom was paying $800 a month for her health insurance in Massachusetts, and that was just to get it. She still had copays, and she still had a deductible, and it was a huge deductible. And that's why she got her entire MRI bill handed to her on a silver platter, because she had to meet her deductible. She had to pay the entire bill. That's how our system currently works. In a system like we're discussing, you pay your flat rate. It goes into we'll use Medicare. It goes into Medicare. Your doctor submits the bill to Medicare. Medicare pays the bill just like it does now. There's no argument, no muss, no fuss. Everything's done appropriately. And Medicare has rules they have to follow, and they can't fuck around, and they got to follow the rules. So an industry is still privately owned. Hospitals or doctors' offices. It's not owned by the government. It's not run by the government. It's simply healthcare. And now it's healthcare that's 100% being funded for the people in patient care. If the hospital doesn't have to have 30 employees in the billing department to deal with Aetna, Blue Cross, fill in your blank insurance, they just have to bill Medicare and then get paid. That's not 30 employees.
It's better for everybody.
So where's that money going then? It's going into having better patient access. So it's going into having machines that are upgraded. It's going into having no low stock on supplies. I cannot tell you. I worked in ICU, CCU. I worked in ER, cardiology. I can tell you right now, there's not a single department that doesn't end up with something they fucking run out of that they shouldn't have. They're a hospital. But this is what happens in the way we've built society. In my buddies, he's a stage 4 cancer patient who I will tell you would be dead if he was in the United States. There's no fucking way.
No doubt.
He goes to the doctors, they test his levels, the doctor orders a medication gets ordered from the pharmacy, it's delivered, and he gets it. And that's the fucking end of the story. Nobody's getting in the way and questioning whether or not your doctor's correct on diagnosing you. And here's another one for you. Backwards medicine of American society. You hurt your shoulder. It hurts when I do this, doc. In the Netherlands, let's go take a picture, see what's going on in there. In America, go to physical therapy first. First, I'm going to send you somewhere to manipulate the joint and fuck around without taking an image, without having a clue what the hell's going on inside of you. I'm just going to do it. They did that with me, and I had 3 cervical discs that were herniated and were literally moved my spinal cord. Literally moved my spinal cord. But before we got those images to know that was there, I went to physical therapy for 6 weeks.
That must be where that old joke comes from. The guy goes to the doctor and says, "Doc, it hurts when I do this," and the doctor says, "Well, don't do that."
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, if you have single payer and just all the bullshit goes away and it just is better for everyone. And again,
the focus is back on the patient and not on the profits.
And this is something, and I always complain. I complain about it a lot on the show that I do with Todd, Hanging Left. Democrats are terrible at messaging because they're correct on the policy on this, but they're so bad at messaging. I don't know why. I've heard Bernie say it, but I don't know why Democrats don't. They should constantly, every time this subject comes up, talk about all the stuff that they talk about and how it would be better for people. But also Democrats need to remember to say this part. If we have this system instead, if we have single payer, your employer no longer has to deduct that from your paycheck. So that's more money,
match it,
more money for you. Right. And then you're not paying for it anymore and your employer isn't paying for it anymore. So that needs to be the response when someone says, "Well, how are we going to pay for all this?" That's easy. You're already paying for it.
And it's not going to cost an arm and a leg like it does now, because the hospitals and the clinics and the doctor's office won't have the exorbitant money that they have to spend constantly on the phone with the insurance companies, trying to get prior approval codes and having peer-to-peer reviews and going through appeals department. I had a provider who at one point, before they went into total private practice, they were in with a group of other providers. And they had to hire an employee to do nothing all day, every day, Monday through Friday, but Blue Cross Blue Shield denials of care.
Yeah.
How expensive is that? That employee, that hourly salary, the matching Social Security, matching the Medicare, matching the health insurance, vacation time, sick time, all of that for that employee to do nothing all day, every day, but appeals. Insurance companies, let me make sure I say this. Health insurance companies serve no purpose and have zero effect to increasing positive outcomes in healthcare. Give me any case, any medical case, and I challenge you to show me where the insurance company improved the outcome of that patient.
Right.
If it's not a Cadillac policy that belongs to one of the freaking Congress people,
Right.
or some CEO who has a Cadillac, I'm talking about the same health insurance companies that you and I and everybody else in the working class get.
Mm-hmm.
Those policies with the deductibles and the copays and the in-network and the out-of-network and all the bullshit just to get the medical care you need. The stress of loan cuts our life expectancy down. And that's exactly what they want. They only want us on the planet long enough to make them money and to serve them. And when that's not going to happen anymore, it's better for them if we kick off.
Right. Well, that's the other thing too, that people need to say more. I say it all the time, but this is something that people need to repeat over and over again until everyone understands this.
Yep.
The insurance company, they only want you on one of their plans for as long as they're able to make money from you, from your monthly premiums, from whatever they get from your employer, whatever that money is. As long as you are profitable for them, they want to cover you. Once you get sick and you get sick enough that you begin to cost them money, now you're no longer an asset. Now you're a liability. Let's be very blunt. People need to speak very bluntly about this. The insurance company, once you go from being an asset to a liability, the insurance company wants you to die. That sounds stark, but that is the
Call the
truth.
fact.
Because once you are dead, you no longer cost them money. So once you get sick with something, they would prefer that you die. And if they can help you to die by denying you the health care that you need, even though you fucking pay for it, if they can find some way to deny you that health care to help you to die, they will gladly help you to die. They want you to die as soon as you are costing them money instead of making them money. That's the problem. And look, I'm a capitalist. Okay. This is coming from a capitalist, but this is the problem with for-profit healthcare. They would rather you die than cost them money. That is a fact. So,
right. And that's partially why the narrative that they're putting out there now is when they talk about Medicare, they call it an entitlement. When they talk about Social Security, they're calling it an entitlement. And we've got, it's all on umpteen videos of them saying this shit. And it's not an effing entitlement. These are insurance programs that you and I pay into our whole effing lives.
Right.
From
We
the
paid for
minute
this.
you start paying taxes, you start paying in Medicare and Social Security.
Yep.
And disability, Social Security Disability Insurance, SSDI, is insurance. We pay for it for the just in case. Just like you do at your job. I have a long-term disability private insurance, and we have a public Social Security disability insurance. These are the things that you pay for so that when it happens, if it happens to you, you have that to depend on.
Right.
And you bust your ass and you pay into it in every fucking paycheck.
Right.
Every job I had, I paid in. Every paycheck, they got their cut.
Yeah.
And if I made a lot of more, if I got overtime, they took a bigger fucking cut.
Yep.
Sometimes working overtime wasn't even worth it because they would take it all in taxes. You get in that spot where right here, I can make a little more money, but if I work X number of hours, they take so much in taxes. I didn't end up getting home with fucking anything. Or until you get to the next bracket where you might get to keep a little more. You have to really kill yourself to see that in your paycheck.
Right. Well, should we move on to the
yes,
to the main subject that we were going to talk about today? So the other thing is Trump is now threatening to send National Guard, deploy the National Guard in Chicago to help with crime.
Yep.
I guess. And
yep.
So putting more American military on the streets.
Fox News is reporting. I saw this before you and I went live. Fox News is reporting that he wants to expand it to 19 states, and they had a map. The majority of the states were in the southern region of the United States. So like Florida's on there. I believe the Carolina was on there, but there was nothing in the Northeast. really. Everything was mostly in the lower part of the country. Another 19 states, he wants to deploy military troops on American soil against Americans.
Mm-hmm. Well, they don't. So, the people who support this, they don't look at it as, because they, uh, MAGA, they look at, I think they assume that not only every undocumented immigrant or even some immigrants who maybe are documented, I think from their point of view, they assume that everyone who's doing criminal activity is probably probably an immigrant, documented or otherwise, because that's kind of how
So-called criminal activity.
that's kind of how they view.
Can we say that some of these stops are really questionable?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So what's so interesting to me is, and you've pointed this out, you mentioned it earlier. A lot of what Trump is doing are things that during the Obama administration, conservatives would rail against, even though Obama wasn't
Yes.
actually doing any of these things. But they, and I used to be, I was a co-host on a show called Rock Paper Hand Grenades, the late Gary S. Hopper, who, I loved Gary, and I miss him. But on that show, I interacted with a lot of people who thought that way, who had all these wild ideas with their very vivid imaginations about all
Yes.
these things that Obama was going to do. Obama was going to, any day now, Obama was going to declare martial law. Obama was going to deploy American military in cities
Yep.
across the country.
Yep.
Obama was going to refuse to leave
Yes.
at the end of his second term, and there
And
would
there
be
would be a
some sort
third
of a.
term. And Alex Jones was railing on that. And so were libertarians across the country. I was a Republican. I served with Gary in the New Hampshire State House.
Mhm.
And the foundation for some of the groups that have turned into really bizarre white supremacist organizations today were founded on the idea of keeping military away from citizens, posse comitatus. And I'll give you the example of
Yes.
where a lot of this started was when Katrina happened.
Mm-hmm.
And U.S. military National Guard went into Katrina to help. And
New Orleans.
there were videos of them going around and actually disarming people who had firearms they legally possessed in that state. And there's a famous video amongst conservatives, and it is, and I've seen it a zillion times. You can go look it up. It's still up. Last I checked, it was still on YouTube. There's an elderly lady who is in an apartment building. She is elevated. She is not flooded in her apartment whatsoever. She's on dry land. She's got food and shit in there, and she has a firearm.
Mm-hmm.
And the National Guard, along with whatever PD there was, literally put this woman, this elderly woman who had to have been in her 70s or 80s, against the wall, took the firearm from her and left.
Yeah.
Because she didn't want to go anywhere. So they left her disarmed and unable to defend herself. Why? That was what we were railing against. Why? This woman was doing nothing wrong. She was simply in her home, riding it out, high and dry. She's got food, she's got water, she's doing all right on her own accord. And at the same token, let's remember, while this was going on, people had been moved into an Astrodome that was subsequently not only flooded, but there were numerous accounts of rape and assault and theft because people were put into this with no policing whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So they, instead of having the National Guard and the dome policing, they had them out on fucking boats going to people's places and disarming them. So this is what we were talking about back then. This is what we were talking, and martial law could get declared, and that whole aspect. Now let's look at life today. The current Republican Party has now endorsed a police state that they used to rail against.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't want a police state. No military on our streets like they have in communist countries. We're not going to be North Korea. We're fucking North Korea. He's putting military on the streets. He's already done it in LA. Excuse me, in DC, in LA. He's doing it now going for Chicago with plans to do another 18 or so states. How long before it's in every state?
Mm-hmm.
What happened to states' rights and 10th Amendment rights to states' rights? What happened to posse comitatus? No military against Americans. That's part of basic American law.
Yeah.
These things have been completely thrown aside. And here's what I do know about myself. Now, I am not a Republican anymore. Trump made me a Democrat a long time ago. But I will say this. I'm still saying the same thing.
Right.
No police state, no military on American soil against Americans.
Right.
I'm still saying that. They're not.
No.
They've changed.
Oh, yeah.
They've given up states' rights. They've given up the rights of a country that wasn't supposed to be military run. Like, this is insanity to me.
Well, here's the thing, though. My perception, I don't think, in a sense, they've changed because, of course, they're all in the cult. Not literally all of them, but most of them are in the cult. Most Republicans and the Trump cult, the MAGA cult. So whatever their God King says goes, and they don't question anything. They question a little bit with Epstein, but the Epstein files. But even that's starting to fade away. Ultimately, they'll go with what I mean. Trump could tell these people the sky was green, and they'd all walk outside and look up and go, "Oh yeah, I always thought it was blue, but yeah, I could kind of see it now." So the mindless herd of MAGA will go with
we can
whatever
spend
Trump
how much
tells them.
money on a parade, but we can't fund healthcare.
Right, military parades and everything, all the stuff that they used to pretend to be creeped out by. But in another sense, they have not changed, because my perception of Republicans and conservatives has always been that they're basically pretty phony, because they're always inconsistent. Take government spending, for example. They're only fiscal conservatives when a Democrat is in the White House. When a Republican's in the White House, we've got money to burn as far as they're concerned, and they don't give a shit.
They will take it from food stamps.
That's true.
From WIC.
That's true.
From housing assistance.
Yeah.
From feeding children in school. We can take the money from all of that shit.
Right.
What is it? 44 billion, some odd crazy dollars nationwide, just from the schools, or million. I don't know what it is. It's a crazy number.
Right. But they'll still take the money. Yeah. They'll cut anything that helps people. Because, as I said,
entitlements,
because conservatism is cruel in its nature.
It is now.
But they will then, of course, they'll spend it elsewhere. Military spending. Not that I oppose all military spending. I do not. I'm not like I'm not far left on that. We need a strong defense.
Military.
But there is a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse in that zone. And of course, all kinds of corporate welfare and
how much money did it cost to send him to Scotland with the beast and the ambulance and all the cars and all so he could cut the ribbon on his own golf course.
Yeah.
And now he's using tax dollars to buy stock in Intel.
Yeah, and that's something that if Biden had done that, oh my God, they'd go insane. Or if Obama had done that,
Obama sending troops in. Obama sending troops into a city.
Yeah, any of this stuff. But it's Trump.
But the same people that claim we don't need this because the churches will do it, how come none of them are out front going, hey, my church is going to start, we're going to adopt a school and we're going to make sure that the kids have a healthy lunch every day. We're going to take care of that. I haven't heard that yet. None of the food pantries are reporting an overabundance. As a matter of fact, a lot of them are running on empty and don't even have some basic staples in stock anymore. So I don't see it happening there, buccos.
No.
That's just the bullshit you feed yourself so you can sleep at night.
Yeah. But yeah, this is all, they're all on board with whatever Trump does. So, but it is funny. I mean, there's so much of what Trump does or has done that, again, it's stuff that they didn't talk about it as much with Biden, not nearly as much. But with Obama, all these crazy conspiracy theories about all this stuff he was going to do and to remain in power and martial law and everything. It's almost as though there was something about Obama that was different somehow. because with other Democratic presidents, I can't remember the level of paranoia that they exhibited. It's almost as though there was something about
I don't
Barack
know.
Obama that just freaked them out and just
Barack
really,
Hussein Obama.
really bothered them to their core. I can't think of exactly what it might have been. Something about him that was different from any other president that just made them
I think he had a
very,
little
very
more
nervous.
melanin than some others. Could
Maybe.
it have been that?
I also like the duality with which they were able to, view this dichotomous way they were able to view Obama, because they would talk about him like he was this very weak, feckless leader, this incompetent guy who couldn't do anything right, and he was just very, very weak, who
Yeah.
also was going to single-handedly destroy America.
Yeah.
I always thought that was interesting.
Yes.
But yeah, so yeah, they're going to keep deploying troops. I mean, obviously doing that in DC, that was just that was a test run. And by the way, part of why this works too with conservatives and why they're willing to go along with this, again, all this stuff that if a Democrat did it, they'd be melting down, is because it also feeds into the what we call the blue cities fallacy, because conservatives love to talk about how, oh, all these Democrat run cities, they're also riddled with crime.
Right.
Well, the reality is most major metropolitan areas do have crime. That's part of being in a city. And most major metropolitan areas tend to be run by Democrats because that's who the people in those cities vote for. Urban areas tend to vote conservative. But cities, metro areas, even in the suburbs, they vote Democrat.
Yep.
So that's who you get. So no matter who's in charge, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat in any city in America, you're going to have crime. But they take that and they kind of twist it and say, oh, look, that city's got a high rate of crime. And, oh, the mayor's a Democrat. See, and it's bullshit.
It very much so. But to bounce off of something that you had said, what was different about Obama, right? So now put that in what we're looking at here with the military and what ICE is doing. They're unapologetically profiling people. There was a story I saw earlier of a kiddo that got stopped and taken because he looked Mexican.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. So profiling is now back, and not only that, but worse, quotas.
Oh,
quotas are very, very bad in law enforcement for many, many reasons. But the biggest one being is that because you make a quota, they will grab anybody and everybody that could potentially fit the bill and prove them guilty later. That's why we stopped allowing quotas in law enforcement, was for that reason. That's why we don't allow it with speeding tickets. Remember, we don't, I mean, average American will tell you they don't want quotas on tickets. Why? Because it encourages the cops to stop people for petty little shit. Instead of letting the petty little shit go and going after the speeder, the crazy driver, the person that's really going to cause an accident, they're pulling over the dude that doesn't have a seatbelt on.
Right.
Because they got to make their quota. This is why we don't want quotas in law enforcement, and we shouldn't have them. Now we have them in spades. Now they want 3,000 arrests for ICE. And the reason that he's putting military in under the guise of criminality, but they're also saying they are also being sent to assist ICE.
Yeah.
So we have the military and law enforcement in every capacity profiling everybody on an American street. And if you potentially look like you might not be white, they're going to stop you and question your status. And they don't care. Like, how many videos have you seen? I know I've seen quite a few of people yelling, I'm an American. I got rights. I got rights. Oh, you don't have no rights, dude. No, you ain't got no rights here.
Yeah.
But I'm an American. No, you're not. No, you're not. And they take them and they make their quota. That's why they take them. And they don't listen to them, and they don't check their ID, and they don't do any of the things they're supposed to do because we've given them permission to no longer follow the rules.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's snowballing. And now he wants to do this in 19 states.
Yeah.
And and gee, why are we targeting Chicago? Why is Chicago next?
Well, Obama's from there originally.
Oh.
Is that?
Could there be any other reasons?
Oh, I don't know.
There's an awful lot of people there who are not white.
Yeah. And
Because if you
definitely
think
a
they're
certainly a blue
targeting
city.
people, they're targeting Black and brown people. They want to catch anybody and anybody they can remotely decide is illegal. Even if you're here legally, you have a green card, you've done everything right. They just, okay, in Maine, there was a police officer in Maine, hired obviously by the town, did his H-1B, did everything correct. Dude's from Jamaica, had H-1B visa, green card, all 9 yards. He's been a working police officer for like 20 fucking years. He just ended up having to self-deport to Jamaica. Because if you don't self-deport and you're forcefully deported, it's a blemish on you that can prohibit you from ever coming back to the country. If you self-deport, you still have the chance of coming back. And that's why some folks are choosing to do that. Because it's your Hail Mary to be able to see your family again in person and not through a computer screen.
So what we need to do, if there were any political will to do this, is because I always say we're doing things in the wrong order. We need a massive, comprehensive overhaul of our immigration system first, and then we can figure out who to remove. Because I'm all for deporting criminals, but they should actually be criminals. But we also need to we need to figure out a way to bring people out of the shadows. Have a program where people can apply for citizenship or some form of legal status, like the individual in Maine you were just speaking about.
But they did all of that.
Yeah, but we need something much simpler.
Well, that would be preferable.
And we need these people in the country. And this is the other part. I wish, and again, I wish Democrats would say this, but they don't, because they're bad at messaging. But this is something that needs to be explained to people. And I say it all the time. Immigrants, no matter how much, you can not like brown people all you want to, but you need them here. They are essential to the economy. Immigrants are essential regardless of how they entered. They are essential to our nation's economy.
Look, we've already got fruits rotten on the vine. And
yeah. These
rotten
farms
on the vine now. And then they're not getting the subsidies anymore from the government. So they're going to go belly up.
Yeah.
And then the big companies like Walmart are going to come in and buy it and take it over so they can make, because they get their own chicken and shit.
Yeah.
So these companies are going to come in and buy up these farms, and the farmers are going to end up working the land just the same, but they're going to be working it for Walmart or fill in the blank, whatever, market basket, whomever.
And it's going to drive up food prices. I always say, if you could wave some sort of xenophobic magic wand and all of a sudden everybody you don't like wasn't in the country anymore, our economy would collapse overnight. It would. It would.
People don't believe you, though.
No, that people don't believe, but it's, well, and economists believe that, though. Ask any economists, they'll tell you. These people are essential to the economy.
Like,
we need to fix the system.
My girlfriend and I, sometimes we like to go to the dollar store. And there are a number of dollar stores around here that are closing at unusual hours because they don't have the staff to stay open.
Right.
I mean, like 3:00 in the afternoon, they're closing, or they are closed because they don't have the staff to stay open. All these places you go to that are understaffed, and that's happening across the board. Understaffed in medicine. You'd be surprised at how many people are in medicine working on green cards. We have doctors, nurses, all kinds of specialties. What we don't have is a rising rank of those coming up that are going to become the doctors of tomorrow to take care of us when the current crop completely retires.
And if you're here with a green card, I mean, the way they keep changing the rules now to find excuses to get rid of more people, get rid of more immigrants. If you are a green card holder, you got to be worried that your green card is going to get pulled early, that you're not going to be able to renew your status. There's all kinds of shit that could go wrong.
And this is that quota. That's why ICE is raiding Lowell's, is raiding farms where people are actually working.
Yep.
And they're actually and they actually get paychecks and pay taxes and shit like
they're right.
The easy, because it's easy pickings.
Yeah.
It's just like the state trooper that sits at the bottom of a hill that jumps from 50 miles an hour to 35. because he knows he can snag anybody right there.
Mhm.
And that's what they're doing. They're
Yeah.
going to the courthouses where people who have legal documentation, they're following the rules, they've done everything right. They're going in for a hearing that they're required to go to.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, their cases are being dismissed, and that enables ICE to pick them up.
Yep.
See, if
Yep.
it's a pending case, ICE can't get them.
Yep.
So ICE is there. Yeah, we want you to dismiss da 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 da. They dismiss those cases and they pick those people up. Easy pickings. I'm
Mhm.
getting my 3,000 a day quota
Yeah.
because that's the quota. It's 3,000 a day.
Yeah.
Well, when you run out of illegals, where do you go? If that's your claim.
Yep. Yep.
So, and they did that a long time ago. Okay, maybe in the beginning they were picking up people who were criminalized, and occasionally they grab somebody who is a criminal, who has done terrible things, who does have a deportation order. And that's the person that absolutely, yes, we don't want the serial rapist to be in the country.
Of course, right.
When you're going to the ice cream man who's served this community for over 20 years, he's got a green card, done everything right, pays his taxes, and you literally take him because he's easy pickings.
Yeah. And as far as the people who are here illegally, because, you know, there will always be people who will say, and, you know, I have a family member who will say this, and I'll get a series of angry text messages from him, I'm sure, after today's show. But, you know, well, Matt, what about the people who entered the country illegally? They committed a crime. Technically, it's a misdemeanor if you want to.
It is a misdemeanor. It's
Just
not
to be
actually
clear, it's
but
not
you have to remember
not a
those
felony.
people want it to be a felony, though.
Well, oh, I know. But you know, the people who look in a better world, obviously, I would want everyone to enter the country legally. And I'm not for open borders, or, you know, as a sovereign nation, we have every right to protect our border and control who comes in and out and who knows who comes in and out and all of that, right? But here's the thing, though. This is, and again, this is something I wish Democrats would say when having these arguments. Regardless of how you feel about people coming into the country illegally, we built an economy that depends on people coming into the country illegally to work on these farms and in these factories and in hospitality. Maybe if all of you who have such a problem, who are so mad about these people who broke our laws coming into the country illegally, well, maybe we shouldn't have built an economy that depends on them. And it does depend on them. So, but we did.
But
we built an economy that depends on these people. So now that we've done that, let's acknowledge that, let's own that, and now fix the system itself.
No. Let me play devil's advocate. Here's the other side. Oh, but see, all of the lazy Americans who are collecting entitlements are going to take over those service industry jobs and farm worker jobs. They're going to do it because this is an invisible number of people who don't fucking exist that are going to fill these blanks. Because in case you hadn't noticed, the dollar store's closing at 3. 90% of the retail stores I go to don't have enough staff.
Yeah.
Like the medical industry does not have enough staff. There are plenty of wonderful jobs out there that aren't staffed. And it's not because of American laziness. It's because America stopped having 8 and 10 fucking kids.
Yeah.
We stopped having babies left, right, and center till women couldn't have babies anymore because we didn't believe in any kind of birth control. That stopped. And when we stopped having supersized families, there weren't people to fill the void in the holes that are now occurring. I'm an only child, and I know a lot of people who are only children in my generation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
My dad's generation, people had like 4 or 5 kids.
Yeah.
But my grandmother's generation, they had like 8.
Yeah.
10 kids.
Yeah.
And that has progressively changed generation after generation. So there doesn't exist this invisible number of people who are going to miraculously jump up out of the corn weaves and start picking. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. Are there a number of people in the United States who are lazy and don't work? Of course. But it makes up about 1%. Because we have a system that is so fucking hard to get into
Yeah,
People
it
don't
is. It
understand.
is
And
hard.
I
Yeah.
challenge conservatives to go to their social departments and find out just how hard it is to get food stamps,
Right.
to get WIC.
Yeah, they
You
don't make it
gotta
easy.
they don't make it easy, and that's intentional.
Right.
That's to make sure that the people who need it are getting it. And that's
Right.
also to weed out people who aren't allowed to get it, which includes somebody who is not in the country, who's an undocumented soul, who doesn't have papers with them.
Hmm.
That person can't get them because they
Yeah.
don't have the papers.
Yeah.
You
Right.
have to have
Right.
papers. You have to be a documented human being in the country
Right.
or a citizen to even remotely come close to qualifying it.
Right.
But people think that you just go in there and go,
I
"Hey,
know.
I'm hungry. Here's $200 of stamps." It
It,
doesn't work like that.
no, it
It
does not.
really
Not
doesn't.
even close. No. No.
And it
No.
never has. It never has. I can
Yeah.
remember, I'll tell you a quick story. When I was very, very young, when I was 22 going on right at 22, 23 years old, I was told I could not have children. And then suddenly I got pregnant. I had been married for a couple of years. And my husband, who's passed away at the time, got appendicitis right after I got let go from my job because me being young, stupid, and naive, I had a job that I was within 90 days. I hadn't passed my 90 days yet. And I was working with chemicals and shit. I'm all excited and I say, "Hey, I'm pregnant." Well, the next day they fired me.
Hmm.
Now, I filed for unemployment. I won. They lied. They provided my time cards and it showed that I never missed time. So I actually collected unemployment because they illegally fired me.
Hmm.
That said, he was out of work with appendicitis, emergency surgery, and I was out of work. So we had an entire month of no income. And we were only allowed to get emergency food stamps. I remember this. It was $200. It was emergency one-time allotment only.
Hmm.
And that was it. It didn't
Yeah.
matter that I was now unemployed, even though he was going back to work. He was going back to work, so that was fine. That's enough. You got it for the 1 month for emergency, and that was it.
Yeah.
Now, these programs aren't handouts.
Nope.
They're very difficult to get, and they are things that we pay for because we don't want people to die and starve in our society like they do in other countries. But
Right.
apparently that's changing now. Apparently, we'd rather let people starve to death. We want children to go hungry in schools. Like it's kind of, does it surprise you like how vigorously and aggressive they are to take away school lunch?
Oh no, nothing surprises me anymore. I mean, geez, Nazis in Concord didn't even surprise me. No, nothing surprises me anymore.
I
No.
mean, why? Why are we trying to not feed children? What happened to your Christian
If
values that
if
you keep
if
touting? Where's
if
the
I
church, right?
if I wake up tomorrow to martial law having been declared, it
I won't
wouldn't
be
surprise
surprised either.
it
And
won't
then
surprise me.
elections get suspended,
Yeah,
so
it
there's
won't.
no midterm.
Yeah,
I mean, they're already trying to gerrymander that.
yeah,
How
no,
long is it before 2 states goes into 19 states, goes into all 50 fucking states that we now have National Guard and appointed law enforcement officers over the law enforcement officers that were elected or appointed by our own state? States' rights be damned.
yeah. That's the thing. Yeah, they like to talk about states' rights, but again, it's like I said, whether it's that or fiscal policy or, it's only
When it's convenient to
when it's
their
convenient
cause.
for them. They'll flip on anything that
This is it.
if they can find a way to hurt people. I mean, that's a big part of it.
Military in the streets. And they did just change it now too, that now they're going to carry arms.
Oh, of course.
They
Oh
weren't
yeah.
carrying guns. They were just there supposedly to assist, but now they're carrying AKs down the street and patrolling the street, like we're living in fucking China
Yeah. Yeah, it's
or
not the America I grew up
Taliban.
in. No.
And then they have the right to just simply pick somebody up off and take them off
Yeah.
and take off with them.
Yeah. Yep.
No due process. when you throw in that, people are so quick to throw away due process rights to so-called undocumented people. Do they not understand they're doing that? They're opening that for us, for the rest of America, for other America. It doesn't just stop with one. It never does. The proverbial nose under the camel's tent.
Yeah. They'll also try to rationalize it by saying, well, the Constitution only applies to Americans, which is not true.
No,
That's a misunderstanding. It applies to anyone
it
in the
applies to
country.
people,
Yeah. It
human
applies to
beings.
anyone within our borders. Yeah, absolutely.
That's where we are, militarizing of our country.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
And they're going to make it, they want, and what is it we used to say all the time back in the day? They want you to get used to seeing that. They want it to become normalized for you to see military walking down the street, carrying AKs, military gear. They want you to be that.
Yes.
They want you in fear of it.
Yes.
They want you to mind your P's and Q's and not speak poorly of them out of fear of being arrested.
That's right. Absolutely. That is what they want. All right. Well, I think on that note, was there anything else you wanted to mention or talk about?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. No, we can stop on that, and I'll get this into the podcast feed.
I think this is a good place to stop. I mean, I hope that people will stand up, speak up. You have to get up and you have to get active. This isn't politics as usual, right? In the old days, Democrats and Republicans worked across party lines, came to agreements that were suitable for most. Now it's this extreme right-wing rule and a regime that is militarizing our country. And this cannot be the America that you want. So you've got to get active. And if you're not sure how to do that, reach out. Be happy to bring you in and show you what we're doing and what other people are doing, and hopefully bring in your ideas to combat this, because we have got to, or democracy is dead. And I don't say that to just throw that out there, but for real, if there's military in the streets and there's nobody holding anybody accountable, this isn't democracy. This is fascism.
Yeah, 100%. All right, Jenny, you want to mention your website for people to keep up with everything that you're doing?
Yeah, come check out what I'm doing. Actually, I just got my first byline on common dreams. I'm super proud of that. Read all about it in my blog and other things coming up at jencoffey.com, JENNCOFFEY.com.
And you can learn more about me at mattconnarton.com and all my various podcasting and radio endeavors. Also, if you'd like to book or learn about having a hypnotherapy session, we can do that too. So you can reach me that way. And of course, go to ipmnation.com for services. If you need digital marketing services or promotional services for your music or any other type of venture, podcast, or whatever it may be, ipmnation.com. And if you are streaming this live on Sunday, just a quick reminder, on Monday, which will be the 25th, I believe at 5 p.m., we're going to do a stream with Vices Inc. about Vices Fest, which is coming up next weekend, Labor Day weekend at the Strand in Dover. It is an amazing 3-day festival, and looking forward to learning more about that. There's going to be a lot of great bands there, many of whom have been on the show over the past couple of years. So, all right, that's it for us for now. Thanks, Jenny, and we'll talk to you a little bit later. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.